we are hearing introduction to SRIMAD BHAGAVATAM. We heard that Brahman is not impersonal, he's a person. But when Vedic Shastra says he has no personality or no form, it means no material form, material personality. And he is full of opulences, and there are three prominent: superior, marginal, and mic energy. And in proportion to the living being's contact with either the material or spiritual energies, the living entity is situated in proportionately higher and lower levels of existence. Either we are in this material world or in spiritual world, or we can be in marginal also position. That is, one lower side is Biraja river, upper side is Brahma Jyoti. They are both marginal. The Lord is beyond the inferior and marginal energies, as above mentioned, and his spiritual energy is manifested in three different phases: as eternal existence, eternal bliss, and eternal knowledge. That is Satchit Ananda. As far as eternal existence is concerned, it is conducted by the Sandhini potency. Similarly, bliss and knowledge are conducted by the Hladini and Sambit potencies respectively. As the Supreme Energetic Lord, he is the supreme controller of the spiritual, marginal, and material energies. And all these different types of energies are connected with the Lord in eternal devotional service. They cannot do anything else except service of Krishna, because they are potencies of him. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is thus enjoying in his transcendental eternal form. It is not astounding that one dares to call the Supreme Lord non-energetic. Is it not astounding that one dares to call the Supreme Lord non-energetic? As Gurudev told, you are saying that professor was saying Brahma or cause, Supreme Lord, has no potency. Then how he can do anything? And whether it is useful to go to a cipher like 0, what benefit you will get? In this world, if we are in want, we take shelter of some person who has money or has power or has these things. So we go and we are benefited. But if we go to nothing, then what is the use of going to nothing? No benefit. So Supreme Lord is he's omnipotent. The Lord is the controller of all energies, and the living entities are part and parcels of one of the energies. Therefore, there is a gulf of difference between the Lord and the living entities. How then can one say that the Lord and the living entities are one and the same? In the Bhagavad Gita also, the living entities are described as belonging to the superior energy of the Lord. According to the principles of intimate correlation between the energy and the energetic, both of them are non-different also. Therefore, the Lord and the living entities are non-different as the energy and the energetic, simultaneously different and non-different. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and ego are all inferior energies of the Lord. But the living entities are different from all as superior energy. This is the version of Bhagavad Gita, Paraprakriti and Aparaprakriti. Superior and not superior. But Gurudev said here superior means marginal potency. It does not refer to internal potency of Krishna. But living entities are superior to material energy because they are conscious. The transcendental form of the Lord is eternally existent and full of transcendental bliss. How then can such a form be a product of the material mode of goodness? Mayavadis, they say. Anyone, therefore, who does not believe in the form of the Lord is certainly a faithless demon, and as such is untouchable and not to be seen, persona non grata, fit to be punishment by the Plutonic king. This Mahaprabhu is telling to Sarvam Bhattacharya that is not good. The Buddhists are called atheists because they have no respect for the Vedas, but those who defy the Vedic conclusions, as above mentioned, under the pretense of being followers of the Vedas, are verily more dangerous than the Buddhists. Sri Vyasadeva very kindly compiled the Vedic knowledge in his Vedanta Sutra, but if one hears the commentation of the Mayavad school as represented by the Shankar Sampradaya, certainly he will be misled on the path of spiritual realization. The theory of emanations in the beginning, subject of the Vedanta Sutra. No, sorry, again. The theory of emanations is the beginning subject of the Vedanta Sutra. Janma Dhyasya Yata. Everything is emanating from him. All the cosmic manifestations are emanations from the Absolute Personality of Godhead by his inconceivable different energies. The example of the touchstone is applicable to the theory of emanation. The touchstone can convert an unlimited quantity of iron into gold, and still the touchstone remains as it is. Similarly, the Supreme Lord can produce all manifested worlds by his inconceivable energies, and yet he is full and unchanged. He is Purna, complete, and although an unlimited number of Purnas emanate from him, he is still Purna. Different avatars, they are coming from him. Because Mayavadis, they argue that Brahma is nirvikar, is not transformed. So they say, if you say that Shakti and Shaktiman are the same, and we see in this world there is transformation, so that would mean that Brahma is transforming, but he's untransformed in Shastra. So this your theory is wrong. Actually, this world is false. That is Vivartavad. Shankaracharya said Vivartavad. But Vyasadeva actually spoke of Shakti Parinamvad. That only the Shakti is transformed, not the Supreme Lord. And giving this example, that of touchstone, even one material object can have such power that he can transform other things, but he himself remains untransformed. So that philosophy of Shankaracharya is not supported by the Vedas and Vyasadeva. The theory, yes, again, I'm sorry, but it happens. The theory of illusion of the Mayavad school is advocated on the ground that the theory of emanation will cause a transformation of the absolute truth. If that is the case, Vyasadeva is wrong. To avoid this, they have skillfully brought in the theory of illusion. But the world or the cosmic creation is not false, as maintained by the Mayavada school. It simply has no permanent existence, this world. A non-permanent thing cannot be called false altogether. But the conception that the material body is the self is certainly wrong. That is vivarta, mistake. In Shastra, vivarta is there, but it is about this. When someone sees a snake and he thinks it is a rope, that is mistake on his part, that is vivarta. Or I'm thinking I'm this material body, that is vivarta, mistake. But this vivarta cannot be applied to this Shakti and Shaktiman point. Shakti and Shaktiman both are real, and only Shakti is transforming. And this one Shakti, Maya, Maic energy, is changing all the time, but it is existing. It is not false, unreal. Existing, but it is always changing, temporary, and sometimes manifest, sometimes unmanifest. But it is not that it does not exist. And also our perception of it may be mistaken. Like we think this world is eternal, this world is full of knowledge, it is full of happiness. That is mistake. That is also vivarta. But to say that it does not exist is also not right. It exists, but it is always changing, and it is devoid of eternal existence, knowledge, and bliss, but appears to be like that by the inconceivable potency of Krishna, like Fata Morgana, phantasmagoria in the desert. Looks like water, but there is no water. But that does not mean that phantasmagoria does not exist. It exists. It is bewildering you. Otherwise, you cannot be bewildered. Pranava or Om or the Omkara in the Vedas is the primeval hymn. This transcendental sound is identical with the form of the Lord. Some say that meditating on Om is impersonal, but it is not. Om in reality is Krishna himself, non-different, Krishna says. But if someone has no devotion to Krishna, then he may come in contact only with the outer experience of Om, like Brahma Jyoti, and he will think it is impersonal. But if he can pierce through that by the grace of pure devotee, he gets devotion, and then he will see that Om is actually Krishna, or Radha Krishna, or Sitaram, can be any of these eternal transcendental forms. All the Vedic hymns are based on this pranava, Omkara. Tattvam Asi is but a side word in the Vedic literatures, and therefore this word cannot be the primeval hymn of the Vedas. Sripad Shankaracharya has given more stress on the side word, Tattvam Asi, then on the primeval principle Om, Omkara. You are that, Tattvam Asi. Means you are not material, you are spiritual. This is one meaning, that you have to understand the difference between matter and spirit. And in ultimate explanation by the Vaishnavas means Tat Tvam Asi. Tat means Supreme Lord. Tvam, you are His. Asi, you are. Tat Tvam Asi, you are His. You belong to Him. That is the ultimate meaning of this mantra. But Shankaracharya said, this is the main mantra and this is the meaning. You are that Brahma. All jivas are that Brahma. But it is not. Om is the main sound in the Vedas. It is holy name. And if one will chant all these Vedic mantras with devotion, then he can understand the real meaning or can have real vision. There it is said in the Shvetashvatar Upanishad, Yasya Deve Parabhaktir Yata Deve Tata Guru. One who will have devotion to Supreme Lord, and Supreme Lord means him and his paraphernalia. That is why it is further clarified, as much devotion to Supreme Lord as Vishaya Vigraha, object of devotion, as well as to that much devotion to Guru. Yasya Deve Tatha Guru. Guru is servitor. Bhagavan is also transcendental, object of worship. One is Vishaya Tattva or Vishaya Vigraha, another is Ashray Tattva or Ashray Vigraha. Served and servitor, they are inseparable. Both we have to worship. So one who will have devotion, Tasyaite Katita Hyarta Prakashante Mahatmana. To such a person, the meaning, artha, meaning of Veda will be revealed, Prakashante, Mahatma, such devotee. Others cannot understand these mantras of the Vedas. They may try to understand by intellect, but that will be wrong. The Lord thus spoke on the Vedanta Sutra and defied all the propaganda of the Mayavada school. The Bhattacharya tried to defend himself and his Mayavada school by jugglery of logic and grammar, but the Lord defeated him by his forceful arguments. He affirmed that we are all related with the personality of Godhead eternally, and that devotional service is our eternal function in exchanging the dealings of our relations. The result of such exchanges is to attain prema, or love of Godhead. When love of Godhead is attained, love for all other beings automatically follows, because the Lord is the sum total of all living beings. That is the point. Real love to Krishna, when one has, he has love for all. Actual love. Our actual relation is with Krishna and with all jivas as related to him. I belong to him. Others also belong to him. So there is no question of any selfish enjoyment or exploitation of one another. And also no question of renunciation or denial. Mayavadis say there is only one living entity. All these individualities, they are all removed once you attain the Brahma. There is not many living entities. So they also say in this world, I am you. I am bowing down to you because I am you. That essence in you is also, that essence is in me, and that is same, that spirit. So I am you. There are not many beings, only one being. That is illusion. It's not like that. And they think that only ego is performing actions. So we have differences in this karma and fruits and body and all this. But they don't know that actually individual soul is doing action, because an individual person, they are choosing different when they are getting. But they cannot understand, because the Vedanta Sutra is not, the real meaning is not revealed. There everything is explained about Jiva, Supreme Lord, fruits and all these things. So when one has love for Krishna, actually, he realized his eternal relation with him, he also has a relation with all jivas, but in a proper way, not in exploiting way or renouncing way. All living beings are eternally related to Krishna. The Lord said that but for these three items, namely eternal relation with God, that is Sambandha, exchange of dealings with Him, that is Abhideya, means or process, devotion, and the attainment of love for Him, that is Prayojana, Prem, all that is instructed in the Vedas is superfluous and concocted. So all the Vedas, they are actually speaking only about Sambandha, Abhideya, Prayojana, nothing else. But we are not understanding if we are not surrendered. The Lord further added that the Mayavad, because some are seeing Karmakant as detached from other Vedas, so he will have wrong conclusion. But Karmakant is also leading to Jnanakant, and Jnanakant is leading to Bhakti. So all are meant ultimately for Sambandha, Abhideya, Prayojana. But if one is not surrendered, then he will misunderstand. That is why Prahlad said, yes, my Guru Sanda and Tamarka, they have some knowledge of the Vedas. They are Shrotriya, but they are not Brahmanishta. They have no devotion to Supreme Lord, no realization of Supreme Lord. Therefore, they cannot be called as real gurus. Because real guru, according to Shastra, is Shrotriya Brahmanishta. And Shabde Pare Janishnatam. Brahmani Upasamashram. That is from Bhagavatam, that verse. Tasmad Gurum Prapadeta Jigyasu Shreya Uttama. Shabde cha Parishnata Brahmani Upasamashrayam. That something like this means, therefore, after understanding that by your own effort you are unable to get what you want, what you need, means removal of suffering and getting eternal bliss. We are doing all these karma activities for this purpose, but we are getting opposite result. So after one can admit this and realize this, thereafter, tasmat, therefore, Tasmat Gurum Prapadyeta. You should surrender to bona fide Guru. And Jigyasa, Shreya Uttamam. You should inquire, not Jigyasa, Jigyasa. You should inquire about Shreya Uttamam, ultimate or supreme or eternal welfare, Shreya. Jigyasa Shreya Uttamam. We should not go to Guru and request, I want to have a child, I want to have money, I want to have name and fame. That is not a Guru. He wants to rescue us from these things. Not that he wants to give us, he wants to rescue us, detach us from this. Shreya Uttam, eternal welfare or supreme welfare, eternal welfare, how I can get. That we should ask Gurudev. And what are the qualities of Guru? Shabde Parechanishnatam. He is expert in Shabda Brahma, means Vedic scriptures. And he is Brahmani Upasamashra. He is taking absolute shelter to Supreme Lord. Shabde Parechanishnatam Brahmani Upasamashra. So these qualities he must have. Otherwise he does not know actually the Vedas, like Sanda and Marka. They could not know. So Prahlad said, I will not speak their teaching. Their teaching Dharma Artha Kama. That is not the real teaching of a real Guru. The real Guru is speaking about devotion to Vishnu. So I will speak what I learned from Narad Goswami. He is a real Guru. So he spoke, devotion to Vishnu is supreme welfare. Supreme knowledge. The Lord, so this Sambandha Abhideya Prayojana is there. All that is instructed in the Vedas is superfluous and concocted, what is outside of this. The Lord further added that the Mayavad philosophy taught by Sripad Shankaracharya is an imaginary explanation of the Vedas, but it had to be taught by him because he was ordered to teach it by the personality of Godhead. If someone has any other understanding of the Veda except Sambandha Abhideya Prayojana, then that is superfluous and concocted, mental or intellectual production. Is not actual meaning, revealed meaning of the Veda. And this is Mayavad is this. Or if someone is speaking Karma Kanda separately, Jnana Kanda separately, not in connection with devotion, that is also not right understanding. So Shankaracharya had to, because in the Padma Purana it is stated that the personality of God had ordered his Lordship Shiva to deviate the human race from him, the personality of Godhead. The personality of Godhead was to be so covered so that people would be encouraged to generate more and more population. His Lordship Shiva said to Devi, in the Kali Yuga, I shall preach the Mayad philosophy, which is nothing but clouded Buddhism, in the garb of a Brahmana. More population. They think the purpose of life. I met one lady. I told her that every living entity has same goal, to remove suffering and to get happiness. She said, no, that is not true. I said, how it is not true? She said, no, the purpose of all is to procreate, to produce children and for new generation. That is the purpose of everyone, she was telling. Then I was surprised how this is. That is not the purpose. And it is also not, they think by this we will be happy. But in, I think, seventh canto or some canto, the Prachetas, sons of Daksha Prajapati, they're Prachina Barhi, but that is another story. They met Shiva. And Shiva told them, yes, you are Vaishnavas, you should devote yourself to Vishnu. He gave them mantra and everything. They also did not want to procreate. But in Daksha, Daksha first created 10,000 sons. And he told them, you also have to procreate. But for that you have to go to forest to do tapasya. Then you will be able to procreate. Then Narad came there and said, who are you? What you are doing here in the forest? They said, we are sons of Daksha Prajapati. Why? Because we have to do penance so that we will procreate, we will produce children. Then Narad said, what is the benefit in this? What benefit you will get? And what they will get benefit? They said, we don't know. We only heard from father, so we are thinking this is good. Then Narad said, no, it is not good. You have to hear me. I will give class, not once, but 3 times in a day. Narad Goswami was explaining that living entities in the womb, they are getting so much suffering. They are beaten by those small organisms. It is like if you put one strong man, you tie him around the tree and you release some poisonous red ants and they will bite him and he cannot do anything because he's tied. So such type of misery, it is worse than death. You want to die. Like that child is getting inside the womb. And those who have Sukriti, not all, those who have Sukriti, when they are suffering so much, then they take shelter in the womb of Supreme Lord and they promise, after I will come out, I will not forget you, I will worship you. I don't want to undergo this type of suffering anymore. Then, those who have Sukriti, and then they come out and then they feel some affection of parents and like this, then they forget. But the point is, there is much suffering. So Narad Goswami explained to them that it is not good. And he was giving class for 1 month, every day, 3 times, hammering. Then after 1 month, he asked them, you will find this topic in Bhagavatam. He asked them, what you decided? Then they said, no, we will not procreate, we will worship Supreme Lord. They became Tyagis. Then Daksha Prajapati became angry. He ruined my children. Narad Goswami, who he thinks he is. But he knows Narad is some great saint, so he was afraid to curse him. Then some problem may come. So then again, he created 1,000 sons. He made. And he ordered them, you have to go to forest and do penance because by that you will be able to procreate. And one more thing I am telling you, if any saint or anyone comes there in the forest and he wants to speak something, you should not hear him, because the order of the Father is the ultimate order for the Son. Son has no other duty except to follow the order of the Father. That is his ultimate duty. So any sadhu comes in the forest, you can bow down to him, but don't hear him, don't follow him. Then they said, okay. They went to forest, and again Narad came to know they are doing tapasya there in the forest, and he came. Who are you? We are sons of Daksha Prajapati. Why you are here? Because we want to procreate, to produce children. Then Narad said, what benefit you will get? What benefit they will get? They said that we don't know. Then Narad said, it is not good. Then they said, no, we will not hear you. Because the only duty of a son is to follow the order of Father. Father ordered us to procreate. Then Narad said, okay, you are the sons of Daksha Prajapati. You are his sons. Who is his father? And who is his father and who is his father? Ultimately you will come, Supreme Lord is the original father of all. Unless you serve Supreme Lord, you cannot actually serve your father. Like watering at the root of tree, you can serve and you can pay back debts to your parents if you serve Supreme Lord. Otherwise, you cannot actually serve your father. By worshipping Supreme Lord, you can do actual service to your father, not separately. So, I will give class. You will have to hear me, class. How you will actually serve your father and pay back your debts to your father, I will give class. And they had no other chance, because he was very powerful sadhu. So 3 times in a day Harikatha class, morning, noon, and in the night, 3 times. And after 1 month, Narad Goswami preaching, then he asked, you understood what I want to say? What you will do? They said, yes, we understood. We will not make children. We will worship Supreme Lord. They became sadhus. Then Daksha Prajapati, he became too much angry. He could not tolerate. Then he cursed Narad Goswami. I curse you. You cannot remain in one place for more than like 2-3 days. You cannot remain, because then this creation will not go. So then Narad Goswami was cursed by Daksha Prajapati that in this material world he cannot remain in one place for a long time. Otherwise, if he will stay a long time, then he will make everyone devotee. They will not be interested in procreation. But in 11th canto, there it is written that Narad Goswami was staying in Dwarakadham continuously, with great desire, with greed to serve Supreme Lord. Then Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur asked, how is this? Already Narad is cursed. He cannot remain in one place for a long time. And here it is saying he is continuously staying. Then Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur himself gave reply. Because that Dwaraka Dham is not part of this material universe. It is beyond. It is eternal, although appearing in this world, but it is eternal. And our Gurudev explained, like if I am in Slovenia, I do some crime, I kill someone, then I run away to Russia or someplace, then Slovenian government cannot do anything to me there, because our rules do not apply there. They may request Russia to give me, but if they allow, they will give me, but otherwise not. So Slovenia cannot forcefully. Like that, Daksha Prajapati is the son of Brahma. He has power in this material universe only, not in Dwaraka, that is transcendental. And also, this is one kind of pastime, that Narad actually cannot be cursed by Daksha, but it is pastime. Then Narad, after knowing about this curse, he was very happy. Say, very good. Now I will go to many places. I will preach the glories of Supreme Lord. Not only in one place, I will go to different places all the time. That is Paribrajaka Charjo, moving all the time to preach the message of Godhead. That is very great service to Supreme Lord. So our Gurudev told in jokingly, it is very dangerous to associate with the real sadhu. Very dangerous. That is why Daksha Prajapati is very intelligent. He cursed him that he cannot remain in one place, because then Gurudev said, so that is why it is not good to invite one sadhu from India or from any other place, any realized soul. It is not good to invite him for more than a few days only. Not good. Because then everything will be ruined. All material life, everything will be ruined. So only for some time, then those 3-4 days we will hear Harikatha and we will worship Supreme Lord. But other 361 or 2 days, we will remain in material life and we will procreate and all these things. So we'll have both benefit, spiritual life and material life also, both. So Daksha Prajapati is very intelligent. Then creation will go on. Like that, here Supreme Lord also ordered Shiva. They don't want to worship me. So you go and you tell them everyone is God. So God is creator. So then creation will increase. Everyone will want to create. Creativity and all these things they will do. They think they will be happy. But no one can be happy. Once Prahlad Maharaj, he is a pure devotee. And Rishinga Bhagavan ordered him, you will have to become king and marry. And he also had one child. But that is for the service of Krishna, not for other selfish purpose. That is different thing. So Prahlad Maharaj was king. So those who were pious kings before, in old age, they really cared for the citizens. They felt this is my job, my duty is to care for the citizens, that they should have all facilities, they should have material necessities fulfilled and spiritual necessities. That is my duty, I have to do. But nowadays you will find they are actually exploiting all the citizens. They are not doing for their own good, but they are harming them. That is Kali Yuga and democracy. So, but Prahlad was pious king, example. So those who were pious kings, not only Prahlad, there were some others also, those who were pious, they used to go to the citizens in disguise also, because some citizens, they were afraid to speak out their difficulties due to awe and reverence and like this. So in disguise, as ordinary person, king would go to some of his own people and he would ask, you have any difficulty? Then they would open their heart to him, and then that king would be able to take care. So even up to this extent they went for the sake of the people. But now it is just the opposite. They go to any kind of extent by cheating or whatever to exploit, to harm, for their own selfish purpose. So just the opposite. So Prahlad Maharaj was going and was solving the difficulties, and one day they met one person who was lying on the ground on the road and doing nothing. Then the Prahlad sent ministers to inquire from him about any difficulties. Then the minister said, he's a crazy person. What is the use of going to? He's a crazy person lying there doing nothing. Then Prahlad Maharaj understood. They could not understand him. But the real devotee can recognize another real devotee. Then Prahlad Maharaj went to him and gave full Dandavat Pranam. Full Dandavat. Then the ministers were surprised how our emperor, such a big person, is giving Dandavat to this crazy person. Then in order to remove their wrong conception, Prahlad asked that lying man, why you are lying here doing nothing? You don't see other people? They are working day and night for happiness. You are also young, you are healthy, you can work very hard, you can earn money, you can make one house, cottage, and you can be happy and you can help others. Why you are lying here? Then that sadhu also, Avadut also understood. Prahlad is removing their doubts. He said, yes, it is true. All these people, thousands of people, day and night they are working. It is true. But they are not getting happiness. You ask them, and if they are sincere, they will admit they are not fulfilled. So what is the use then to work day and night if one will not get happiness? And not only that, I went to all species. I went to aquatics, I went to birds, I went to demigods, I went to all. I saw no one is happy in these 14 worlds by doing karma, this activity out of false ego. I saw all are wanting happiness, but no one is fulfilled. I saw everything, everyone. So I came to the conclusion, why I would work day and night for getting happiness if I'm not getting? So I'm lying here, doing nothing. But he is worshipping Supreme Lord inside. That is the thing. Then this Avadut said to them, to ministers and all, I went 14 worlds, I saw everyone. I have my own experience, I'm not speaking theoretically. I have my own experience, I went everywhere, I saw everything. If there is any happy person in this universe, it is you, Prahlad. You are the only happy person in this world because you accepted Supreme Lord who is all bliss. No one else is happy. So Sadhu can recognize Sadhu. Prahlad could recognize him and he could recognize Prahlad. So happiness is only Supreme Lord. By serving him, we can be happy. Not by this procreation and these things. But those who don't want to serve Supreme Lord, they think that is the necessity. So I will preach this Mayavad to generate more and more population. After hearing all these speeches of the Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Bhattacharya was struck with wonder and awe and regarded him in dead silence. The Lord then encouraged him with assurance that there was no cause to wonder. I say that devotional service unto the personality of Godhead is the highest goal of human life. He then quoted a shloka from Bhagavatam and assured him that even the liberated souls who are absorbed in the spirit and spiritual realization also take to devotional service of the Lord Hari, because the personality of Godhead has such transcendental qualities that he attracts the heart of the liberated soul too. So who is happy? One who engages himself in devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And how we can get this? We have to first understand that by doing karma with false ego and having all these false desires, false hope, all this, that this is not, that is phantasmagoria, it is illusion, like trying to get water from desert phantasmagoria. That is illusion. When one will understand this, and he will give up his arrogance that he can get it by his own effort and by his own idea and all this, then when he will give up his arrogance, then Tasmat Guru, then he will surrender to bona fide Guru and will inquire about eternal welfare, that is actual welfare, and to a bona fide Guru. Who is bona fide Guru? Knows the point of all Shastra, that is devotion to Krishna, and he's actually doing that. He's a realized soul. He's 24 hours engaged in the service of Krishna only, nothing else. To such Guru we have to go to ask about our eternal welfare. Then that bona fide Guru will tell us about Sambandha Abhideya Prayojana, and that we should engage ourselves in the service of Krishna, and he will give us that service. By doing that, we can gradually get Krishna Prem, which is the actual goal of our existence. More we'll hear further. Otherwise, we will miss the target.